welcome to Election Exchange, the market verdict. This is a show where we take stock of the week gone by and more importantly, what can we expect now that we have a clear picture of the election results and an astounding victory from the BJP in the state of Uttar Pradesh. I'm Sonia Shenoy and with me is Lata Venkatesh. Hi Lata.
Hi Sonia, first let's take our viewers through the top headlines. It's a saffron holi as BJP sees a landslide win in the state of Uttar Pradesh. BJP secures over 300 seats in Uttar Pradesh, much higher than what the exit polls predicted, and has become the single largest party in number of seats since 1977.
And the Nifty ended flat last week, consolidated around the 8,900 mark. Stocks like Yes Bank and IndusInd Bank were the big Nifty gainers. The mid-caps, though, underperformed.
Avenue Supermarts, the operator of D-Mart, saw record subscription of 104 times for its IPO, highest for any IPO since 2010. The issue generated bids worth 1.38 lakh crores, the most since Coal India's IPO in 2010.
And all eyes on the US Fed meet on the 15th of March. A rate hike is likely after the US non-farm payrolls added 235,000 jobs in February versus an expectation of 190,000. Welcome to the show. It promises to be a big day on Tuesday after that astounding victory that we saw from the BJP in the state of Uttar Pradesh. But Lata, you spoke to a whole host of market experts. So what are they saying?
Well, I think the Fed and the non-farm payroll numbers are now going to be less important, at least for the first 48 hours of trading, which is Tuesday and Wednesday. We are going to, bask in this big political sentiment boost that we got from the polls, that the NDA has got from the polls. So a poll vault to cross that 9119 mark, the prevailing all-time high, and a new trading range for the market, I would assume, cannot be ruled out. That will definitely be the first positive. The market may be willing to give higher multiples, is my belief. That's for the medium term. Immediately a vault over 9,000, 9,100. But for the medium term, I would assume that given the liquidity gush, because you've seen the FII tap opened up from March 1st, we've got about, 6,000, 7,000 crores of rupees, over $1 billion. And we have this SIP culture well and truly in and willing to trust domestic policy making. So higher multiples, probably now if we are at 17 to 18, markets may go up to 19, 20 perhaps. So in the medium term as well, we may see this 9,300 hold. Yeah. But thereafter, will this political mandate translate into breaking the jinx of growth
and earnings?
Exactly. And therefore, will anybody on the street give higher earnings growth for FY18? If people are between 15 and 18, are they going to make it 20 for FY18? Are they going to make it even higher for FY19? That I am not very sure.
We have a whole host of guests joining us, and in a bit we'll also get you snippets of who we spoke to a couple of hours ago. Ashish Somaya, the MD and CEO of Motilal Oswal, joins us now to talk about that. Ashish, thank you for joining us. How do you see the markets move? Are we staring at new highs over the next couple of weeks or maybe on Tuesday itself? And are those highs sustainable? Because at the end of the day, it all boils down to earnings, right? I mean, political victories come and go, but the market, a bull market, sustains on the back of strong earnings.
So actually, if you see, the undercurrent itself is pretty bullish, right? And a lot of how these news are taken up depends on the undercurrent itself. I mean, if the undercurrent was bearish and you had a loss or a bad result, you would have seen the market do really badly. The undercurrent is strong. If you had seen a poor performance from BJP, the market would have said, oh, it's okay, 2019 will be a different story altogether. But, you have a strong undercurrent and you have better than expected results. And on a lighter note, the electorate should also keep in mind that while you vote for good policymakers, sometimes it's important to vote for lucky people also. Because we don't control that. But just when Mr. Modi is, performing really well, you've seen FIs come back very strongly. You've seen the rupee close at a 4-month high, and you're seeing suddenly oil from nowhere has gone 10% lower. So he has this knack for being lucky other than just his electoral performance.
That point is taken. So what do you exactly do in the near term? You have your funds to manage. Do you think you will go in and pick up at these levels? Will fund? We've seen the DIIs stay back over the last 1 week when the FIs were coming in. Would you see on Tuesday that tap getting opened up because you are expecting high multiples or whatever?
I think that sometimes, when you see these mixed trends from DIIs, I think partly it's responsible for, because these hybrid segment, where there are these balanced funds and dynamic funds, that has become nearly 1 lakh crores now. And on the margins, when these valuations keep fluctuating, on the margins you might see DIIs buying, selling a little bit. But other than that, if you ask me, really the fund flow, there is no change in that at all. Okay, my sense is that even February was about 10,000 crores net positive in terms of flows. And my sense is that March won't be any different. So if you really ask me, activity from our side, some days may be plus and minus, but overall if you see, we are getting money from our investors and we can't be sitting on cash. So we are definitely investing all along.
Now, for instance, Tuesday or this week itself, coming week, do you see DIIs like you all going out and buying? Where do you see the index? And do you see yourselves buying?
Yeah, so I think the index will definitely see a big salutary effect. Because, if you see, we've had 3 attempts at 8,900, 9,000. Once there was, China, and once there was demonetization, and once there was asset quality review. This is the 4th time we are seeing 8,900, 9,000, and then there is this big spurt of really positive news. So I won't be surprised if all the past, highs are broken very convincingly in the near future. It's on the back of a lot of positives.
So you would, on Tuesday, go out and buy?
Yeah, I think, Tuesday is going to be really big. That is my sense. I mean, if for example, BJP had done badly, then we would have all kinds of justifications about electoral politics. But since they've come out very convincingly, I think we're going to see a big bump up.
Where does the Fed hike feature in all of this? Because, I know domestic cues are very strong, but you can't ignore what's happening with the Fed and with the way the dollar index has been surging. Do you think that would matter to us at all?
So when the Fed hikes rates, which seems to be like quite a foregone conclusion, my view has, it's slightly theoretical, but it's played out correctly if you really ask me. And this might sound very basic to you, but interest rates have been used as accelerators and brakes. People have lost that sense. If you ask me, raising interest rates is a sign of economic confidence, theoretically speaking. And if the US economy is really coming out firing all cylinders, I don't think it can be bad news for. I mean, what happens to exchange rate, what happens to interest rates in the short term, that matters. If you see, May 2013 is the first time when we spoke of tapering. From there on, there have been a couple of rate hikes. But what has really suffered is only oil, gold and commodity, and what has really come out firing is equity. So unless and until you see a series of 6, 7, 8 rate hikes, you're not going to see this cool off.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's what we saw in 2003, 2007 period. I think
because bull markets are always accompanied by rate hikes. I mean, you have 7, 8, 9 rate hikes and then it cools off actually.
Yeah, but Ashish, who takes leadership on the Nifty?
You mean sectors?
Stocks, if you can, sectors.
Yeah, see, because,
Reliance has come out and performed, and maybe it could do a little more. But ultimately, you must have the other sectors also perform. IT seems to have troughed out. We saw it performing. But at current levels, at current valuations, at current earnings, who will perform for the next leg to the 9,300 mark?
See, initially, because there has been paucity or lack of conviction on earnings, and 3 times we slipped from 8,900 because of that. So initially, it is going to be with the sectors which are showing the earnings. So you will have the private sector banks and you will have the autos and all those kind of things. And Reliance, you mentioned passingly. I mean, not that we have it in our portfolio, but it matters a lot because there are 26 lakh shareholders there. And for retail participation and for, what is Diwali in the market, that is what actually matters.
Okay, so it will be banks and Reliance, but metals at the moment are not performing for global reasons. So, would you expect some other sectors to come out and perform?
There has been time and again this, risk on beta kind of mode, but we don't think that is very convincing. My sense is that market has been watching for earnings, so you will see market staying with that.
Okay, I want to ask you some more questions, but we have to take a mandatory break, so please stay with us. As we do that, let's also leave you with some opinion that we heard from market men just a while back on what they expect from the markets when we open on Tuesday.
A new high certainly is around the corner. But more importantly, I think, these are blue sky scenarios as far as the certainty levels or uncertainty levels are concerned. And, what has this market not seen? Brexit, Trump, demonetization, RBI policy, the effect of demonetization on the earnings season, and now the UP election. I think all the risk factors are more or less over and done with. And when you have a situation like this where there is a great deal of uncertainty, the direct impact is on the price to earnings multiple. And which is what is going to happen, I think, over the next few weeks or months, is that the P multiples which have been expanding will expand even further. So you may see an earnings growth which is more or less in line with what analysts have been predicting, but the valuation that the public is prepared to give will just move up higher and higher.
Without looking at the manifesto or not relevant to the manifesto of UP is things like GST. We cannot say in any manner that BJP policies in the last 3 years, the last 2 years, or their aggressive push and their hammering on the GST should be looked at as pro-poor or pro-leftist something. I think that's basically pro-growth. It's pro-development, economy and pro-industry. So my limited point here is, to cut a long story short, market should definitely open gap up 150, 200 points.